So you were Muslim for 4 years, you said, and then for the last year, you said some things have happened.
Now I get this more like fundamental question about God's existence itself.
You had some questions that weren't answered for you either adequately or quickly, and then even though they were answered afterwards, it left a little doubt that's sort of been creeping. Did you create yourselves or did you come from nothing? Assalamualaikum, sister. For coming. I know it's not easy to talk about this. So you were Muslim for 4 years, you said, and then for the last year, you said some things have happened. So did anything happen a year ago to you? Did anything bring about the change, any circumstances? Did you meet any new people or start hanging around with any new people? Or
I'm not sure, but I did used to get some questions that I like last year, for example, in Ramadan, that I didn't get answers for them in the beginning, and even though they are more or less answered, now I get this more like fundamental question about God's existence itself.
Okay, that makes sense. So you had some questions that weren't answered for you either adequately or quickly, and then even though they were answered afterwards, it left a little doubt that's sort of been creeping. Why did you believe in the first place? For you, do you remember?
So I believe because of this argument that if everything has a cause, there needs to be a first cause that is not caused by something else before. So yeah, and like how, because we are like very perfectly designed and we are like very complex as human beings and everything. So how can we come to existence by just accident? And also like miracles in the Quran as well.
Okay. So you what background did you come from? Sorry, I'm just trying to ask this so I can approach the way of getting to the solution. So what background did you come from? Were you Christian?
Yeah, my family is kind of Christian from Spain, but we are mostly agnostic, or I was atheist before becoming Muslim.
Okay. All right, that's fine. So now you're not certain, you say, about the existence of God, is that right?
I mean, I still pray, but I'm not as certain as in the beginning, and I would like to be.
So what was the thing with a thing like certainty is that when we live our lives on what the likelihood of things are going to be. So for me, for example, wherever I've been through, I've never been in a position where I thought God didn't exist. It just didn't make sense to me. And there are many reasons for that, for me personally. So, for example, I believe that things have meaning, things have value. I believe in morality, absolute morality. I believe there are things that are right and wrong. And I believe that things need to be, the universe itself just doesn't come from nothing. Allah says in the Quran, did you create yourselves or did you come from nothing? And both are rhetorical questions, because the reality is nothing can come from nothing, and you need to be in existence to create yourself. So it's an oxymoron. Yeah.
Yeah, but what if this actually is like very complex, and I don't understand what if actually the universe didn't need a creator? Like,
what would you base that upon, sister?
I don't know.
See, this is what we call a waswas, just a whisper. A what if? So this is you've heard of the God of the gaps?
No.
You've heard of them? Okay. This is basically what this argument is. It's just a suspicion. Like maybe there's an explanation possibly that may come that would explain how the universe came without need for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is like a claim about something that you don't know, but it's just something in your mind. Whereas based on the reality of, have you ever seen anything come from nothing? No one's ever seen that.
No.
And have you ever seen anything bring itself about? So the example would be, have you ever seen somebody give birth to themselves? No. And whatever we see in the world around us, this is the reality of it, that everything we see around us has come from something else. So now the idea that actually, no, I want to believe in something that's come from nothing, there could be a possible way. 0 plus 0 plus 0 will always be 0.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's
I understand.
so you're entertaining a, like, maybe there's a possibility that something amazing has, like, so this is like actually magic, because one thing is Allah creating everything, because this is Allah creating everything, but you're saying it just popped out of nowhere. So you know how you have the hat with the magician who pulls a rabbit out of the hat?
Yeah.
Have you seen this trick? Yeah, where they have the hat and then they do this and then they take the rabbit out of the
Yeah.
hat.
Yeah.
But this is the rabbit coming out of the hat without the hat and without the magician. Maybe the universe came from nothing. It doesn't. There's no way to. The only recourse that most atheists go to with this is that we don't know, and there could be a possibility that it happens. And usually they refer to something like quantum mechanics or something else, which actually is something. It's not nothing, to try and justify this position. And so you have to think of the two worlds that there would be. So let's think of the atheist world and think of the theist world. The atheist world, your existence is merely a chain of accidents over millennia. There's no real meaning in your life. You're just a blip in the cosmic timeline of the universe. You haven't, whether you live, whether you die, whether you suffer, whether you're happy or sad, it doesn't mean anything. Whether you do any good or you don't do any good, then it doesn't make any difference. If your life is meaningless, your existence is meaningless. This is, Nietzsche. He's an atheist philosopher from the past. He essentially said this: there is no good, there is no bad, there is nothing, only pitiless indifference. That's the atheist. This is the end result of the atheist mindset. So this is nihilism. This is the end result of the atheist mindset. On the other hand, here we are, these creatures that are inherently, we have a sense of morality, we have a sense of justice, we have a sense of right and wrong, we see meaning and value around us. To imagine that we came from, we have choices that we can make that are free in moral ways. We see meaning and value around us, and we do these amazing things. This fits with our experience of the world. This is much more likely to be the case. So which of these worlds do you want to exist in? The possibility that there's a rabbit that's being pulled out of a non-existent hat by a non-existent magician, or do you want to be in a world that has an explanation because there's a creator who is the one who brought everything to existence?
Yeah, obviously the second one.
Yeah, absolutely, because it makes sense. And then on top of that, we have the Quran. We have people who have come to the world in different parts of the world, different languages, different cultures, different times, who have said that the God has contacted them and told them why they're here, what's the purpose of being here, and they have left evidence. So you look at these evidences, Bible, the Quran, these other, and you examine them. Now, when you examine the Bible and the other things, I would say, I'm going to just generalize. I'm going to say that it's clearly evident these things are not preserved and not from the Creator, because there's errors in them, there's contradictions in them. When it comes to the Quran, it's something different. You know this yourself from your previous study. The Quran is something that an illiterate person has produced something, and he says that God has given this to him, which is unmatched in its language, was the first book in the language of that culture, which is grammatically the language that was used, and it is the Arabic language, but grammatically in a way that the Arabs had never used before. They can't classify it in their systems of classification. The greatest poets of the time were alive at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and they could not match it. In fact, they said this was magic. What they mean is this is something that humans can produce. And if you look at what the Quran talks about, psychology, it talks about physiology, it talks about geology, it talks about all sorts of things. And it describes the world in an accurate way. Not a book of science, but a book that talks about the phenomena of the earth in a very, very accurate way, whichever level you want to look at it from. So the explanation, how do you explain this? It talks about historical facts that were not known. The idea. So if you look at the name of the person that built the Tower of Babel, Haman, it was not known. And in fact, it was this word in the Quran was used as the Christians would say to the Muslims, "Oh, look, your book made a mistake. This is not even an Egyptian name. It's not." And when the Rosetta Stone was found, and in the 70s, 80s, they translated some hieroglyphs, and the name of the master mason, the title was Haman. Now, the Quran is giving information from a lost language that was rediscovered only in the 1900s. How did the Prophet peace be upon him know this? So there's lots and lots of information like this, and the Quran itself that clearly clarifies that the Prophet is producing something that you can't explain, and he's saying this is from the Creator, and then the Creator makes sense of why were you here, why the universe exists.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Now, I gave a long explanation to you, and the reason I'm giving that explanation to you is I'm trying to remind you of some of the things that you previously may have, understood and internalized when you became a Muslim. Yeah.
Yes.